get started. Yeah. So quick announcements. Obviously we want to host as many of you as possible. Um, Anyone that's able to go, I'm super stoked to see you all in about a week now. We have a full agenda plan. If you need to know more details, hit me up. And for some of the folks who I know might not be able to join, that I think I just saw someone's background with the construction hat. Who was that? I saw something flash by. I was like, that's cool. But anyways, for anyone that isn't able to join, we're also going to try to do a lot of just hybrid options as best as we could. Of course, I want everyone to understand that a lot of this is going to be tailored to in person. When your team is doing small office visits or small group presentations, make sure those are accessible to the rest of the team. If you are attending the retreat, there's a lot of those social elements, right? Like you might be using the pool, like there's like stuff that's just unrelated to work, right? So those are probably hard to fully capture, but we're gonna have like food, catering, photo, merch, DJs, a lot of really good things. The second day, we have a lot of professional items. We will definitely try to have some sort of virtual attendance option. So that will be on, I think, Tuesday morning. So keep an eye out. We'll send those small group invites. There'll be a lot of alumni coming in. Some of them may be cohort alumni, but now working at Google or Meta. Again, like we're trying to find the right fit for everyone. So some of you may be like master's or undergrad student right now. They might be a master's or undergrad student. You'll meet folks who are like cohort and then they're working at the company their cohort project is at. So that will also be good insights, like how did you get that opportunity? So a lot of this is going to happen in real life. We're going to try to give as much virtual accessibility as possible, but I just want everyone to know there will be some elements that we can't like fully live stream. The last thing I'll say before we go to presentations today is think back to this keynote I gave, I think last week or last week on storytelling, right? When you prep the material with your team, it is super important to always remember that you need to cater the presentation to different audiences, right? When you're presenting to your actual founder, right, you want to share like the details of how this is engineered, the spec, right? If you're working at a top startup or even big tech, you are never sharing that outside of, like the group you're working at, right? Like if I'm leading a project at Microsoft AI right now, right? Like there's no way I'm putting that on my website, right? Like that would be concerning if the company saw it. That would be concerning if a hiring manager sees it, right? So it's the same concept for you. Like you need to understand, like these are the parts that are very attractive for the people that might want to hire me, or the part that will make a case study, right? Those are probably 90% not the content you're going to share or present with your founder. So it's super important. If you need more tips or help with like, what should I share? What should I post? Talk to your founder, but more importantly, talk to your coaches, Johnny, Jenny, or me, or anyone else that's alumni or anyone you meet at these events. We'll be doing different types of presentations throughout the week. So this is like this first official one you're doing. When you're at retreat, you're going to get a little bit of sense of that. I want to make sure everyone, before our cohort wraps up, has the time to present to the founders directly, right? Like I want to make sure like whatever designs you do, there's this clear handoff, clear spec, clear review, clear next steps. So that is between you and your coaches and the founders to document, okay? And then in our other events, we're going to do a mini conference style, mini demo day right after retreat. So if you've only reserved to retreat, haven't reserved for the conference, make sure you're reserved to both. That is also on the second day of retreat. So again, that's going to be a big audience, right? So think about what you're going to present. These are people who might not know what the cohort is and frankly might not care, right? Like they might just be industry professionals. So think about how you're going to frame your learnings or your work there. I really recommend when everyone's thinking about these storytelling moments, like what I shared in the keynote, document everything together first, prep all these different versions, right? Start forking it to your personal sites, start forking it into different presentations. And really between this week and next week, spend the time to get your work to the level it deserves to be, and then just go crazy, present it, share it, polish it, get feedback. Okay, so all of that starts with our session today. Make sense? Okay, I like the matching backgrounds that's going on. So whatever team is ready, let's go first. Brittany, V, do you want the matching background team to go first? I think they look very ready. So I don't know if there's an order we set. All right, Brittany says yes.
Yes.
I will pass it to you all.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our final showcase for Pacto. We are excited to demonstrate you our latest work over the past 3 months. So our team consists of 4 designers, Brittany, Mahin, Iris, Kelvin, and me, V. We also have our UX coach, Johnny, who helped guide us during this whole journey. So now that you've met the team, imagine this. You're a video editor at a growing agency, and you are submitting different versions waiting for comments. Feedback is coming in from every direction, from other editors, stakeholders, clients, managers, you name it, more members of your team. And often your workflow consists of these 4 stages: review, feedback, clarity, and action. And so your workflow as a video editor includes various tools, apps, and platforms. When it comes to reviewing video cuts and versions, you are using Frame.io, and then for communication and feedback, among others like clients and producers, tools like Slack and email are also used. Switching to work management tools like Monday or Asana help you track your tasks, clarify, and organize goals. Lastly, to implement the feedback and edits, the action is taken to a video editing software such as DaVinci Resolve or CapCut. And in short, there are a lot of tools just to keep track of, and editors are constantly having to switch to multiple siloed, fragmented tools just to keep the video editing process moving. So what if you only ever had to use one tool? Here is where Pacto comes in. Picture a tool where one room can capture the full story. But what is Pacto exactly? It is a Canvas-based video collaboration tool where feedback, decisions, and work happen in one intelligent space. Video editors and users alike are able to upload and play video assets, annotate using shapes, arrows, text, and sticky notes for quick feedback. And they can also invite others to join the room. Moving along, we sectioned our prioritized features and implementations into 3 phases. 1, foundation, 2, layering, and 3, intelligence. In the first phase, foundations, we focus on establishing comments such as pin, drag, and timeline-based commenting, with basic AI layer of transcription, summaries, and action item extraction. And in the second phase, layering, we focus on the work of focus mode for distraction-free review, side-by-side version comparison, and version history and tracking. And then lastly, in the third phase of intelligence, this is where AI agents take action. Automated task management and routing with AI-powered editing suggestions, brand and legal compliance, checking, and smart room orchestration. For this share out, we will be focusing specifically on the commenting experience with a brief sneak peek into the focus mode. While our solution spans multiple phases, Pacto is intentionally rolling these out in stages. Some upcoming features are being kept under wraps until a later release. So today we'll only highlight the parts that are ready to be shared publicly.
You're muted, Brittany.
Thanks, Kelvin. Thanks to you too, V. So I'll start by grounding us in what we learned. As you can see, we use a variety of research methods to help us explore and define the issues, who was having them, and how we could design something that would help those people to meet those surface needs. We intentionally combined interviews, journey mapping, affinity mapping, and a competitive scan to capture both real user pain and the system level gaps that emerged during async video reviews. Interestingly enough, our first thought had been that Pacto would lean more into the realm of conferencing tool, but our continued research led us to shift that thinking to Pacto being in more of a collaborative tool space with the potential for high integration of AI tools for productivity, while also still providing a great conferencing experience. This was an important discovery. And one stat that also really stood out to us was that 42.9% of participants described feedback as unclear or conflicting. That's almost half of our users. Not because people don't care, but because context gets lost across tools, timelines, and async handoffs. What we consistently heard was, I don't want AI to be creative for me, but I do want it to handle the admin work. And that expectation became a guiding principle for us. And so from this, we were able to pull 3 really high-level key insights. Our first insight was that there was cognitive mismatch. So what is that exactly? Video editors think in timelines, but feedback often lives in comments, threads, or docs. So that disconnect can create friction, especially in async reviews, because people are forced to mentally reconstruct what the feedback referred to and why it mattered, often over gaps in time. And it can only be worsened if the environment that they're in seems alien or like a paradigm shift. The second key insight that we came to realize was contextual library. So what is that exactly? Feedback gets scattered across tools, comments here, approvals there, tasks somewhere else. Editors told us that they don't need more feedback. They need the feedback that they are getting to organize itself around the work. This pushed us toward thinking less about comments as isolated objects and more about feedback as like a holistic connected system. And our third key insight was value in AI, or in other words, what was the value that AI could bring to the experience? Creators are very clear, AI should support decision-making, but not actually replace it. They wanted AI to reduce cognitive load, like summarizing, surfacing what matters, so they can stay focused on the creative work. That distinction kept us grounded and helped us avoid making up features that were just like AI magic for its own sake and no actual functional use. So all of this led us to our core question. How might we preserve feedback, context, and async video reviews so decisions stay clear, traceable, and tied to the work? Our answer was a shift in mental model. Instead of feedback living in multiple places, we imagined one intelligent canvas where feedback, decisions, and context automatically organizes themselves. And that idea became the foundation for everything that you're going to see next.
All right, so now we're going to be talking about the solutions. So with those key insights that we are addressing, you can see like a plethora of solutions that we came up with. So as you can see, we designed a solution where a user can record meetings. We also have our own way of having an AI chatbot called the Pacto Intelligence. There are session logs, so for any recorded sessions, those would be stored in there, and the user can see the summaries, the action items, and also the transcript. We also have the Canvas side toolbar, which lists all of the new features that we'll be putting. There's also the asset drawer, which shows all of the videos, images, any assets related to video production. And then below the expressive feedback title, there are different ways that the user can comment, which I will explain later. And then obviously you can see the 2 locked features. Those would be later for phase 2. Right. And then it should show, okay. So one of the ways that the user can comment would be through the pin commenting. So as you can see, hopefully the video is smooth. Yeah, so as you can see, you can click on the comment icon and you can create a comment. This is very similar to Figma, where if you want to make a comment, you can place a pin on anywhere on the canvas. The video should show that you can make a comment, and once you make a comment, it should pull out a drawer on the side, which will show you where the comment will be placed. That way it shows the sync between the contexts. Next is the click and drag commenting. So in the video, it should show that when you click and drag on a specific asset, you can essentially make a comment on a specific area. So in this case, the user would be clicking and dragging a specific area in the video, making a comment or feedback, and then again, it will be placed in a drawer. Another way that hasn't been shown here is that you can click and drag and make a comment on a group of assets, and that way it would destroy the organization of the assets. And then last but not least, this is more specific to a video asset. So if a user wants to create a comment on a specific timeline or a specific range of frames, they can click and drag, and as you can see, you can click and drag above the video timeline, and then that way it would pop up a comment modal, just like the previous two examples. This one shows you a little bit differently. So instead of making a comment, this would create a task. And with that, you can add a due date and also a priority, so other users would know when the task will be due and the priority for that task.
Moving on to Pacto Intelligence. Pacto Intelligence acts as your async colleague throughout the review process. It listens, captures, and understands context as feedback happens, whether that's spoken, written, or happening live in review. Instead of forcing editors to remember decisions or hunt for past notes, Pacto Intelligence automatically summarizes comments, transcripts, and action items and turns them into structured comments and tasks. One cool feature that we have implemented using Pacto Intelligence was the ability to have audio comments where you can speak to Pacto, and then Pacto Intelligence transcribes that comment and then summarizes your transcription into a comment filled with all of the necessary tags, such as like how much of a priority that comment is and like who you're targeting that comment towards. And for example, if it's a task, when that task is due. And there's one more thing that we would like to showcase, and we address fragmented context through Canvas mode and leveraged AI to preserve and surface that context with Pacto Intelligence. However, expressive feedback is not only a context problem, it is also a cognitive one. Video editors often work inside tools that don't match how they think or focus. So how do we make video editors feel more at home and as a result maximize their productivity? Oh, is there no audio?
There might not have been audio.
No, there was no audio.
Just keep it going. Let's get the pace type. All good.
Oh, that was like one of the final slides. Let's see. Okay, should work now.
Also, very smart blurring out sensitive details. That's how you know the engineers actually want to build. Good audio.
and thank you.
All right, very good work. I'm curious first. I guess this is a question for Team and Johnny. Have you all had a chance to do this share out to Damien and the other co-founders from the team yet, or this is like more for us?
Have we been able to what? Come again?
Have you all been able to share this sort of final wrap up with Damien and the team?
Yes, we have.
Okay.
This is an addition that we edited a little bit last minute because there were some express concerns about showing
Of course.
these new designs that
Yeah,
might give away the competitive edge. So we did de-emphasize. That's why you see the last part is blurred.
No, makes sense. Yeah, I can tell it's a bit more context heavy because some of the designs and visuals might be more sensitive to the team. But Johnny and I talked a little bit about this offline. I think that's great. It means you guys' designs are very valuable, right? They obviously want to use it, so they don't want anyone else to possibly copy it. So I think that speaks extremely high volume. I think the only other time we've ever had something like that was 1 or 2 years ago when we actually helped build one of the first AI agents in that workflow. So that pattern is actually pretty commonly used. So I'm really excited to look at our private Figma file more later and then check out the design portions. My question to the team and org right now is what are some of the next steps you all want to take with the project, right? Any thoughts from the team? This is a pretty open-ended question, but I'm really curious to hear anyone's opinion on this.
I think definitely user testing. We haven't gotten to do that. So we are planning to do some of that, hopefully with like, just for functionality wise, if it works.
Yeah, and we have at least one person who was part of the initial user testing who would be available for follow-up testing. And we did a document and everything to conduct the research. Like it's all prepared. We just needed the time to schedule more people and actually do it.
Okay, very good. One thing I highly recommend, maybe you all have already done this a little bit, but one thing I highly recommend to the team as maybe one final output together, that's a team effort, is we've looked at using AI tools to prototype many, many times this cohort, right? Like we've had multiple keynotes and demos together. I think this design, like the design elements, right? Like what makes it sexy, what makes it snap, what makes it feel authentically Pacto, those are parts I would love for you all as a team to be able to just prototype that front end experience fully with Opus or Gemini 3, right? Like we mostly looked at Gemini 3. I've actually been using mostly Opus myself, right? I think most of you also saw that demo from me last time, right? Where you all basically already have the full prototype built, right? Like I think we looked at this example last time, right? Where all of this, right? Like the content takes a long time to build, right? But this actual main site, like when I worked on with other alumni, all the fancy interactions, all this crap, right? You can see how we're able to like fully build that out essentially in one day, right? So I would really encourage that since all of you have the Figma assets, just build that in with either Opus or Gemini. I think that is going to be one of the most attractive parts for this project and to wrap up all of this AI prototyping learning we have, right? If you're talking about testing, I would really want to send like something where you're like, just try this, right? Tell me how it feels. A lot of, I think, what you all are sharing is on those interaction moments, right? So I would focus on that craft. I really want to land that execution in that prototype piece. I think it will help a lot of you in your job hunt / startup kind of pursuits. That's my quick feedback. Jenny, Johnny, anything else you all want to add?
Yeah, I just want to speak for the team really quick. Leon, I think that's an excellent recommendation. And what's special about this project is, I started teaching at the beginning of this year with Co-Create. I think this is the first cohort I've seen where folks go straight into the AI tools. So most of the screenshots that you see are actually done completely in Google AI Studio. And they were able to get these high fidelity, very high, not just the UI itself, but the interaction, right? Because to your point, it's a very interaction heavy project. They're able to capture that within like day 3, day 4. And we were just iterating on top of this over and over again. So this is definitely one of those very unique projects that really showcase the value of using the AI to prototype. And also everybody in the cohort just were really good at leveraging these tools. They pretty much recreated Pacto within 2 days on Google AI Studio.
Yes, that is what I love to hear. Yeah, we actually just had a hackathon for Microsoft AI last week, like internally. I was showing some UW capstone students an office tour last Friday. So during our hackathon, like the first thing I think what you'll realize with live coding tools is like if you just want to recreate something, right? Like what y'all are saying, like that is super easy. So I definitely want to make sure this final demo / prototype piece, assemble it, Opus 4.5, very good. Gemini 3, whatever you're already using, right? Have that. I think that is going to be much more competitive than a Figma. Like if y'all are sending someone like this project, whether that's on your personal website or just sending them as I check this out, that's what I want to see. So great work. Jenny, anything you want to add?
No, just echoing everyone. Great work. There's a lot of challenges that I think we face day to day in terms of like product constraint, different ways that we can express the design, and ultimately trying to design for the next best step that we can take for that product strategy. So yeah, thanks the team, Pacto team for sharing. I think this deck structure and just storytelling overall was really strong. So I really appreciated that as well.
Yeah, Johnny, huge props to you. Okay, thank you, team. Jenny, let's switch to yours.
Awesome. Take it away, team.
Okay. So, hello everyone. We are Team Infila, and we'd love to tell you how we transform Infila's form experience to help city planners get reliable information quickly. Here are the faces who made all this work happen. On the right, we have the Infila team who we work with throughout the program. And this is today's agenda. And before we go into the juicy part, we just want to introduce you to the product we worked on. So who is Infila? Infila is a civic tech company that helps planning departments work faster, collaborate better, and serve their communities. We work on Infila's flagship product, which is their forum. It's a Q&A platform where planners, zoning staff, and citizens can ask questions to experts, review past questions or discussions, and access verified regulatory sources. And we focus on the planners, which are city or county zoning staff, where they work at the permit counter and they talk to applicants directly. And they are often under time pressure to give accurate information. And because of that, they need quick access to accurate information, and they need to be confident in the information before sharing it with the applicants. And also they need clear answers on zoning, land use, and development procedures. So let's look at the current experience. Currently, planners can use the forum to search for existing questions, or they can also post a new one and wait for an expert to respond. But there's a problem with the current experience, because from an analysis of almost 2,500 search queries, there's a 38.5 search failure rate. But what does that mean? It means that 12% search return 0 results, 26.5% search return like 51 plus results, which made users overwhelmed. and the rest landed on manageable range between 1 to 50 results. And unfortunately, this caused real consequences. And from the user side, they lost time during like time-sensitive interaction. They get frustrated because of repeat searches, and they are less confident in the system. And from the business side, the search failure caused higher dependency on expert for repeat questions. And this can also lead to decreased in usage, which is really bad for business. So then how might we design for an AI support search experience that clearly reveals where answers come from, build trust through transparent evidence, unifies information from multiple sources, and also supports users in making confident, well-informed decisions?
So now let's dive into the juicy details. To start off, we conducted competitive analysis of other AI tools to see how they approach usability, trust, and ethical practices, and determine what Infilla can take away and apply to the forum search experience. So we looked at chatbots, social media forums, and AI-supported government forums. We had 3 main takeaways. Our first was that transparency is non-negotiable. Looking at examples from Gemini and Perplexity, the layouts here prioritize showing sources clearly and managing source info to give users transparency about where the information was coming from. Our second takeaway is that guidance and support can be given to users to help them refine their questions and make references easier to understand. We noted patterns in Reddit and NYC My City chatbot that synthesize relevant insights and help guide users towards frequently asked questions. And our last takeaway was that AI tools can build feelings of trust and safety in the user. In GovAI and Alberta AI, there are clear distinctions between expert responses and AI interpretations. And there are also discrete boundaries set up, like providing a limited verified sources for the AI to reference in order to try to prevent hallucinations. So then at this stage, we wanted to move fast. So we sketched out early design concepts using our takeaways from the competitive analysis and based on patterns that we saw. So in our sketches, we assumed that an AI chatbot UI would help support users by allowing them to ask open-ended questions to get answers instantly without having to wait for an expert to answer their posted questions. And we also thought that in-chat citations would allow users to reference the original source where the AI answer came from.
Okay, survey insights. From our first designs, we wanted to gather more insight from users based on their current forum usage, pain points, any type of foundational context for the platform, as there wasn't research within the last year, familiarity with AI tools, and perceptions on AI holistically. It was important to gather insight from this survey as we were trying to revamp the search as is with AI-supported search. A notable finding is that 100% of users participating in the survey had expressed distrust or some sort of neutrality towards AI-supported search results. Common feedback we received was the concern that AI cannot interpret nuanced planning code. They had to verify all the responses themselves. From this, we found that planners prefer self-sufficiency on making their own determination of how to interpret the code based on their question. We also learned that even from forum expert reviewed responses, planners prefer to cross-check the source and the answers themselves. Even when they find a forum answer, they verify it by looking up the official code themselves, asking colleagues for confirmation, and even reviewing past team discussions. So we had this big aha moment from the survey insights and stakeholder feedback, which made us rethink the way we are approaching the AI-supported search. The data revealed that planners have incredibly real-world consequences. If there are legal issues, project delays, or even a breach of professional credibility, as planners, They are skeptical of AI overviews or interpretation. They work in a very self-sufficient manner in which they verify quoted citations themselves, and they want to be able to trace the exact parts of the code citations for their question. We saw that they wanted to use AI search as a way to surface relevant results and as a research tool rather than an AI assistant that will guide them to an answer. So then we had our big pivot. This happened to emphasize the AI-supported search experience rather than having a full-to-full AI-driven approach. Instead of an optimized open-ended chatbot-style inquiry, we moved to a keyword-based search approach that fit users' current search behavior. We had assumed that they had strong tech literacy from the users, but we have now acknowledged that there's a range of technical skills and support for that AI distrust in the civic context. We also opted to build directly from design systems that was given from Infila so that users would familiarize the platform rather than reinvent the wheel with a completely revamped experience.
Okay, so moving on from our initial research, we approached our new designs with two key concepts. For the first concept it's the enhanced search input, which aims to give planners more control through flexible filtering options. This strategy empowers our users to refine their searches effectively, enhancing their overall experience. And then the second concept is the research loop, designed to surface relevant sources quickly and support deeper research as needed. Both strategies focus on improving user engagement and efficiency in their tasks. All right, so let's go over the first concept, enhanced search input. This feature introduces suggested filters to streamline search process. It automatically surfaces the most relevant zoning categories, code sections, and use type based on user queries. By reducing manual filtering, we aim to improve the quality of search results before the user even initiates a search. This enhancement is designed to make the search experience efficient and user-friendly. Another one is file upload. So this feature allows users to upload planning documents and site photos. And by adding regulatory and physical context to the searches, we can improve the relevance of results. The goal of this is to enable users to see how similar codes and site conditions have been interpreted and applied in various contexts. And lastly, for the first concept, we have a feature that allows users to add an address. This would allow users to view zoning codes and past cases about the location. The goal of this is to give users information specific only to that area.
Moving forward, let's discuss concept 2, the research loop. To begin, we worked on unifying results. Previously, users only saw questions as results with external documents hidden in a dropdown. Now, search results integrate forum discussions alongside supporting code and documents. This organization by source enhances clarity and manageability in research. The updated interface includes external documents directly in search results, improving search navigation. To support the loop, we designed the side drawer feature for source verification. This tool enhances the browsing experience by providing a preview of forum answers and highlights from external documents. It aims to streamline the process of accessing relevant information quickly and efficiently. Answer previews will only show answers, allowing users to quickly access the relevance of, assess the relevance of forum posts to their queries. This design aims to streamline the information retrieval and improve user engagement with the content. Quick highlights are designed to offer essential information on potentially lengthy documents without being overly authoritative. This approach empowers users to verify information independently, enhancing their overall experience.
For concept testing, we interviewed 5 planners across departments over Google Meet. Our goal was to understand how planners experience the enhanced search concept we designed. We evaluated how they respond to AI surface results, whether they trust them, and how easily they can discover content across sources. We also assessed whether the design improves accuracy, reduces effort in searching and interpretation, and supports confident decision making without AI feeling intrusive. Let's walk through the themes that emerge from the concept testing and how they translate into UX opportunities. During our concept testings, we found that users either search with keywords or with filters or switch between the two. So the opportunity was to build a search bar that fits all the search behavior, and users showed preference over category and reference, and they also showed positive interest towards ad attachment and ad address. So we had the opportunity to keep the filters that were highly valued and useful at the search context level. In terms of new features, users users said that they want to be introduced or notified to the new features because there were planners who were less tech savvy. So this is the iterated concept design where we have introduced onboarding for the first time user and the tooltip on hover for the repeated users, where they can easily, with minimal interruption, can see what the features are used for. Here, the search bar in our previous design, when the filters were applied, it looked really overwhelming, and users were like, "Is there a point where I'll not be able to see all the filters that are applied?" So we made the design decision to make an expandable search bar where user can easily scan all the applied filters and can further crush or apply what's needed. So moving on to the concept 2 themes and UX opportunities, our users were very positive about the sidebar, but however, they were like, "I wish the sizing, the spacing, and the content were more scannable and readable." And about the AI features and user trust, they like the user highlights, but they were concerned that the laws may have nuances and AI summary may not be able to interpret it all. So it gave us the opportunity that we keep a disclaimer or warning that highlights are not the interpretation of law, rather they only support their research. Moving on to next slide. So this is our iterated design for the side panel for forum post. As we can see in our before design, all the contents are like just inside a box, and we made sure that the title of the questions are bold and they are sectioned, like question have different sections and answers are in a different section and tags were in different sections so that user can have breather. And we made sure that we highlight the major part of the answer so that user can see what's important to them, quickly scan it, and can further decide if they need to deep dive. This is the iterated design for the external source. We added external document in our after design so that user can differentiate whether it's from the forum post or from external document. We also made sure that user read quick highlights first here, because previously user were reading why it's relevant, but we wanted to make sure that user quickly glance to quick highlights and decide whether or not to deep dive to external document inside. Moving on. Yeah, this is where we decided to declutter our search. We decided to move the more filters down to the relevant results section because we observed that users were not using the more filters as often as they were using reference categories at attachment or address. So we made sure that user has freedom here to refine their searches at the result level rather than putting everything at a search context level. So this is the iterated design where we realized in our concept testing that planners were not posting questions in the forum. So in order to encourage them, we made sure that we add microcopy for engagement so that Infila's knowledge base will be updated and the further searches will be enhanced in the future.
To encapsulate these 13 weeks, here are our learnings and next steps. Next steps. To further test the design iterations, additional rounds of testing can really polish the experience and catch any edge cases. We want to tailor the experience from an internal forum to an external public-facing forum, so even citizens who have civic-related questions, it can be an intuitive search experience for them as well. We would also further dive into search filtering. How can we better support the users with refining search results as the platform continues to grow? For learnings, ultimately, we learned that user feedback is an integral point to fueling our pivot and refining our concept testing. Having that collaboration with dev team really supported in our questions about technicality. Is this design concept even possible to achieve? Stakeholders knew the users better than us. We caught onto issues we might have overlooked way faster and had a more aligned approach to our design process. So I want to say thank you to Co-Create for hosting this project experience. Big thank you to Jenny for guiding us through the whole experience and giving us insightful feedback. And Fila for giving us the opportunity to work on this project, our coaches for extra support on the weekends with our workshops. And mostly, I want to highlight our team who spent so much time doing good work. So thank you to everyone.
Amazing, Shreya. Great recap as well. Did it better than me. I will start with a question, but also something I'm super excited for your group is I know you all have that office visit plan. So I would really also think a little bit ahead on, is there anything extra we want to share for that office visit? Obviously, have fun with it. I think Min or someone else will try to go with you all to also help with taking pictures. So I think that will be just really, really awesome to see. And yeah, I don't know if Jenny is watching that. Jenny from the founder is watching the live stream, but also a huge shout out for her to working with Jenny to help you guys coordinate office visits. I think that would be extremely, extremely awesome. So when we meet up at the retreat, definitely want to hear how that went. The question I want to share here is, I think you all did a really amazing job. And of course, Jenny, your coach, is really great at this, of documenting the context and the story. This is a B2B product, right? Technically, this is, like a product that has a lot of like social, like almost like government tech, right, built out. So I think the emphasis on the exact decision making, right, the design details, going very deep on the design thoughts, is essentially how every B2B interview or project showcase should be like. That is extremely strong. I'm curious when featuring it for yourselves on your portfolios or projects. We've talked about that in the past few weeks. Has anyone been able to make any progress on that? I'm also curious if anyone has any questions so far, if you all have started on that. But I think for a interview purpose, what you all are sharing has a lot of juicy design details. I'm curious if we're taking like a step up, right? Like if we're sharing it from a more holistic approach, do you all feel like you also have a good story there? Curious to hear a little bit more from you guys.
I think in terms of like adding this to our portfolio, that's something our team has talked about with each other a lot about like how do we frame this story and like all the decisions we made. I think it's for us it's been a hard balance of figuring out like especially the pivot that we had, like how do we approach telling that story as well. I think a lot of us are still fine tuning our case study, and our case studies are built heavily also on this presentation.
Of course.
So yeah, I guess any feedback in terms of like, are there any points we should be adding more detail or scaling back, that could be really appreciated.
Yeah, I think this is again like I think the pivot, at least in the story, I'm sure like Jenny probably gave you guys a lot of like thoughts on this already. I think it was handled very well, and you know like for most, I'm sure for Pacto like that is a thing as well. Like for most projects, big tech startup, that is extremely common. Right? If you're interviewing with Amazon, or like one of their interview questions, they're almost guaranteed to ask you is actually like, how would you handle a pivot because of business needs, right? Like so. That is almost an essential skill you have to have. So I think having that in of itself is great. There's two ways I would recommend, just to answer your question on handling it. One is I would even frame the story around this pivot, right? Like if you think of your story as almost like a movie, the pivot can almost be like this climax, right? Where it's like we're designing towards this moment, boom, this happened, and then this is how we handled it, right? So it could almost be the hero moment of the story. That's one option, right? Another one is similar to what you all did. It's like very process driven, and the pivot is naturally part of the process. When you're showcasing on your portfolios and work, the only advice I would mention is just make sure that you can distill and share the context appropriately. What I mean by this is just understand that for B2B hiring, especially for more junior roles, or if some of you are going to do contract roles or startup roles after, this level of detail is great, but a lot of this takes careful walkthrough and digestion in this more share out moment, right? So I would really think hard about how can I distill the moments where a lot of the context, like if it's not context the reader or the viewer has to have, I would definitely find a way to like simplify or minimize it as much as possible. I think that's the biggest advice I would give there. Yeah, but I'm going to open it up. Johnny, Jenny, anything else you two want to add?
Yeah. First of all, I want to say I think the pivot that you guys handled it very well. And I want to say that's something that's really distinct in this story. I've always told every single one of my cohort, it's very common to have these kind of moments where you're working towards something and then, hey, a business requirement change, or sometimes you have a founder who says, hey, I changed my mind. I want to do something like this instead, right? Those stories are actually really, really valuable. It's not a bad thing. In fact, I think it makes the story more valuable. And to Leon's point, you can handle it like process driven, but something that I found quite useful is you build up your story almost in one direction, right? Say, hey, we this is how we started the project, and this is our initial takeaway, the insights, and we build towards this. So you walk the viewers down in a very logical solution. That is what we think it is, right? Then you introduce that pivot. So we did a user testing, and actually, it turned out to be completely wrong, and this is why. Right, and if you can gap that research like very intuitively, and it makes your story far more memorable because you give them that twist. So I think there's a lot of potential in this story for that. I think you guys did a very good job to start with. And yeah, to Leon's point, B2B by nature is going to be hard because when B2B, it's very industry specific knowledge. What I found helpful when I use a B2B case study is to extract some of these contexts into something that might be generally relatable. So for example, over here, it's a lot of a government search. Some of them may be very specific to this industry, right? You might be able to pull back and think about, is there anything else that shares this common theme of search that you can use as analogy to gap that? So I've worked on something that was real estate smart search that was very heavy. When I was interviewing at Google, I knew they were doing a lot of search. So I pulled back and say, well, a lot of times we're doing real estate search is actually very much just like a regular person doing a search on Google too, because you start wide and then you start to narrow down the ideas. So if you can extract something like that into something that's very relatable to common use cases or everyday analogy, I find that really helpful. But otherwise, I think you guys did a great job, and the visual for the decks are very good.
Yeah, and I've shared a lot of feedback with my team, but I think just like closing feedback for everyone in this cohort, ultimately we talk a lot about story and we talk a lot about the structure of your presentation. It's really how you're communicating the value and the impact that you've done. So whatever you think about that story and like essentially what has happened, how you've shown your decisions, how you're like pulling out some Amazon principles, like you disagreed and committed on a very strong design direction because you had backing research or you worked with subject matter experts, or maybe you actually thought like, hey, there's some more opportunities here. So instead of just focusing on like what the surface level ask was, you're actually bringing up more of that design element into how you're thinking and approaching that situation. So I hope this experience was amazing for everyone, as much as it is great for us, the coaches and everyone involved. We just want to make sure that you're constantly open to ideas of growth and feedback truly is a gift when you're starting to open up and like share out all of your designs and work with stakeholders. They're all coming in with a very unique perspective and a lot of background information. So it's really good to try to see what kind of collaboration you can work on and how can you best communicate with those different types of audiences. So yeah, thanks everyone for your great presentations. It was really fun just like listening to all of the hard work that you've done for the past few months.
Amazing. Thank you, Jenny and Johnny, for closing us off. So yeah, that will be all for today. And then just, of course, a huge reminder, make sure that you're aware, right? Retreat is happening. Make sure if you have not had a chance to RSVP, you really need to do it by now. I think all of you have had. Make sure if there's any food allergies, let us know. There'll be social moments. If you plan to drink, not drink, have fun, not have fun, just let Min know all about that. I think there's also like a lot of merch items that are you like whatever size, but also I think if we haven't gotten the sizing information from y'all, if we have a general idea, we'll also make sure there's enough rough estimates of small, medium, and larges. Okay, thank you, everyone. I will be very excited to fly down to San Francisco and meeting many of you next week. All right, talk soon.
See y'all later.
Bye, thank you.